and we'll circle back to this. So let's start with a question from MJ Diego. MJ says, with the international break coming again and Casemiro being overworked again, should Carlo Ancelotti play Alaba as a defensive midfielder while Nacho plays at his natural role at centre back against Athletic Bilbao in 2 weeks' time?
Look, I don't think there's a perfect solution for the Casemiro thing, but I think something needs to happen because I've been vocal about it on Twitter recently, and I think Casemiro right now is borderline unplayable because of his form and his performances. I think that Ancelotti has to find some kind of answer for Casemiro's struggles, and of course NJA's answer and option makes sense, but then you have to worry about the right back spot, which is also a big concern when Nacho is not playing there, because we've been getting reports and news about Vázquez not being an option for that position as consistently as in the past because of his mistake against Valencia, which was quite terrible. And then you will have to play with Valverde or a Castilla player until Carvajal recovers from his own injury. So MJ's solution and to me MJ's addresses part of the issue, which is Casemiro. Something needs to happen with Casemiro right now because Real Madrid are struggling a lot there. But if you put Alaba there and then Nacho in the center, that makes sense. But then you're a struggle on the right back. So there's no perfect solution for me for Ancelotti to find if he wants to take Casemiro out. And in this particular option, then Real Madrid would be struggling a lot on the right back spot. So we'll have to wait and see.
Well, in some ways, I think the question is a little bit easy to answer. Like for me, anyway, that. Should Ancelotti look at playing Alaba as a defensive midfielder? Ancelotti actually spoke a little bit about this scenario playing without Casemiro in a press conference. I think it was before the Villarreal game where he said, look, if we're going to rotate Casemiro out of the lineup because he's not going to play every single minute, we don't have any player like him. So what we're going to do is we're going to play double pivot. And if you play double pivot, it's not that you absolutely can't put Alaba in a double pivot. It just means that you might as well just go with Fede and Camavinga and Cruz Modric, etc. And I think you need Alaba's presence in the build-up phase as a progressive passer in defense.
Right.
And so I wouldn't tinker with it much. I had a question for you that's like kind of not related because MJ says, could we do this against Athletic in a couple of weeks' time? I was looking at flights for that because it's like I could possibly go to that one and be back in time for the Toronto podcast. But is there a chance that one gets postponed, do you think?
Oh, because of the
it's after the international break.
Well,
risky.
Yeah, there's a chance. It's kind of risky given what happened the previous time with, I think it was Barcelona and another game, right? It got postponed.
Yeah.
So, is there a chance? Yes. By looking at sample size, there's definitely a chance that La Liga looks at that and says, we're going to postpone this game. Obviously, Bilbao are not a problem in this context because they don't have players in the CONMEBOL, obviously. But I don't know. If I were to book a flight, I probably wouldn't, just because of the risk of losing the ticket if the game ends up being postponed, which is a possible scenario.
I hate La Liga. It's like impossible to plan anything. All right. So next question is from Sergio Arispe. He says, "Hey guys, I hope you're both doing well and welcome back, Lucas. I know it's still way too early to tell for sure right now, but do you think Real Madrid will be active in the January transfer window? I know our biggest issue is the lack of defensive organization, but injuries are playing just a bigger role in the goals we concede to some extent. What players would be realistic candidates for Real Madrid to aim for? In American football, the offense and defensive..." Okay, well, that's a separate thing. Okay, so winter transfer window.
I don't expect Real Madrid to do anything in winter, given what happened in the summer and given the kind of transition, quote unquote, transition season we're looking at right now from Real Madrid. They hired Ancelotti. It's not like the team are gambling a lot on this season's success to go forward. I don't. And also, furthermore, I think that Real Madrid have what it takes to still compete for La Liga until the very end of the season. As a matter of fact, they're still leading the table. So I don't. To be honest, I consider that a scenario of Real Madrid signing someone in the winter very, very unlikely.
I agree. I don't see anything budging. I'm even thinking of like the players on loan. Or is there any potential to recall anybody? I don't see anyone that would make sense to recall. So I think there are players who could help us, but like if somebody like Brahim can help us, it's not going to be. He's not going to come back mid-season. It makes no sense. So I don't see.
Odriozola would be helpful. I mean, we all knew that. I mean, I was against sending Odriozola on loan and keeping Lucas Vázquez because Vázquez was going to be extended as a right back, as we've read in several reports for the last couple of weeks. I knew that Odriozola was probably a better defender than Lucas Vázquez, and that doesn't mean that Odriozola is a very quality player to start for Madrid on a consistent basis on a right back spot, but at least he's a right back, and Lucas Vázquez isn't. So Odriozola would be helpful, but again, we don't know. I just don't expect Real Madrid to admit that to do that, it would take Real Madrid to admit that it was a mistake to send him on loan and keep Lucas Vázquez, and I don't think Real Madrid will do that in the transfer window in the winter.
That's a weird one. I mean, I think we should explore that a little bit right now. There were questions about why did we extend Lucas Vázquez as a right back.
Yeah.
And we won't necessarily have time to take those, but we can talk about it right now. It's a weird one because Ancelotti, I read a report today, I think it was from Edu Pidal, that you saw that one, right? That Ancelotti, that the decision to renew Vasquez was done by the club because he played there well as a right back, backup right back, but Ancelotti doesn't see him there as a good option as a right back, which, to be fair, makes sense overall.
Total sense.
But then when you look at, like, Ancelotti was brought in early enough in this summer to have been able to make some decisions on his own. And Odriozola, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going by memory here. Odriozola was sent out on loan to Fiorentina.
The last 2 or 3 days of the window.
It was at the end, right? So Ancelotti had it, but I imagine the club was like, well, look, we can't keep Odriozola if Lucas Vázquez is here. But
right, correct. That's what happened, and I mean, it doesn't make any sense. But I'm 100% sure that the club just didn't, quote unquote, allow. Furthermore, Real Madrid needed to get a handful of roster spots free, and Odriozola was key in this part. And remember that Camavinga, just in case Mbappe ultimately the Mbappe transfer could have been possible, Camavinga was at first registered with Castilla just because Real Madrid didn't have any room, and that's with Odriozola already gone. So I'm 100% sure that ultimately Real Madrid just told Ancelotti that Odriozola had to go because Vázquez was already extended, and Ancelotti was fine with that decision because Ancelotti is not a coach who complains to the board. We know that.
I will say one thing, and I'm writing about it this week. I've watched every Odriozola game so far with Fiorentina, and I'm not sure how much he would actually help us. Like I know,
right?
I know he's a right back, way more natural right back than Lucas Vázquez is, and I know that Lucas Vázquez hasn't been good this season, but Odriozola, his last game against Udinese was a little bit better, but it's the same stuff we saw. Like, it was just bad defending. He doesn't look confident with the ball at his feet either. So I suppose, I just wanted to put it out there, but I think.
Yeah, but Kylian.
Yeah.
I mean, let's keep in mind that Vázquez the kind of mistakes Vázquez has done as a right back this season are very, 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 very surprising to see from a pure right back. I mean, the way he basically broke the offside line against Levante, for example, is not something that, I mean, Odriozola can be as poor as we want, but he's been playing right back for years, if not decades. And I have to assume that he knows how to maintain the offside line straight with the rest of the defensive line, and that's something that Vázquez is not. I mean, it's not his fault, but that's something Vázquez doesn't know how to do, as we saw against Levante, and also the way he quote unquote cleared the ball against Valencia is something that a natural defender knows that that cannot happen. And I have to assume that those two mistakes in particular would not be a problem with a pure right back as Odriozola, as poor as he actually is, even though he's a pure defender. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean, some of those decisions were strange from Vázquez. I wonder how much Odriozola would have played under Ancelotti. I think it would have been pretty significant by now, even at this stage of the season, because he would take the Lucas Vázquez minutes probably, if Ancelotti indeed does see it that way, that Lucas Vázquez is not a right back, and we've just had so many struggles at the wingback position. The game against Villarreal, for example, we just had zero production from the fullback. Zero.
Yeah, zero.
Nothing. And it's funny when you look at the first goal that Sheriff scored, Cristiano, the guy in the left wing, the amount of space he had from that right wing, and it was like up until that point, and I was taking note of it, he just had a lot of space, even though they didn't do anything with his space. But like Fede Valverde really wasn't tracking him, and Nacho was playing so narrow, like they weren't really picking that up.
Yeah, and Miguel has been a problem defensively also.
Yeah, Miguel's been kind of hit or miss too. Okay, I think we're going to struggle.
Defensively, at least he produces offensively, that's for sure, and his crosses are brilliant and all. Obviously, he's young and he has room for development and all that. I mean, I'm not saying that he's not a product Real Madrid should consider for the future, but right now he's not a capable defender to start in a crucial, say, Champions League game or a crucial derby or a crucial Clásico for Real Madrid. I don't think he's ready to do that kind of defensive work.
Yeah, I'm generally pretty happy with his production in the final third.
Yeah,
he knows how to get to his spots. He knows which passes to make. He's a good crosser of the ball, like you said. But yeah, he does have some of his defensive kinks he'll have to sort out. There's a second part to this question that we can take.
Just one quick note, Kylian.
Yeah.
Mendy just rejoined the squad today. I'm reading, so hopefully, some issues will go away. Some of Real Madrid's issues with the flanks will go away because Nacho now will be able to play as a right back, and then Mendy on the left back. Hopefully, if Mendy is I mean, I'm not assuming that Mendy will be ready to play in any minutes from the get-go this weekend, but anyway, I think if he's training with the squad today, obviously he should be an option in a few weeks' time.
He's going to change a lot if he's healthy. A lot.
Yeah, I agree.
Sergio also says, in American football, the offense and defense coaching duties are handled by one coach each. In a hypothetical